This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, and I'm your host, Jason Glick. Yeah, and with me this week, we've actually got a special guest. Well, like special to me, anyways. Like we got my buddy, Rob Tomlinson.
Hi.
Hey, Rob.
I'm Rob.
Yeah, like I asked Rob to contribute to this week because like he is basically responsible for getting me over the hump on one particular series, and that would be Irredeemable by Mark Waid.
I was glad to help with that.
Yeah, because years ago, it's like, well, not years ago, maybe about a year or two back. It's like Robin is now. His current wife Marisa got me like volumes 3, 4, and 5 of Irredeemable, and after I read that, I was essentially like on the boat, like in the tank for this series. Like I was going to go ahead and follow it, like to the end.
It's actually funny because that actually got me into it as well. The fact that we got you that, and I think then you told me about it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I read a little synopsis online. That's what made me interested in it, was the fact that we were getting you those books.
So it's guilt or fame by association then.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, yeah, because I haven't discussed Rob like my thoughts about this series, but let me just say that whatever I think about this series and its sister series, Incorruptible. Like I said, that's all on its writer, Mark Waid. Now, Now, before we get started and talk about the series proper, I think it's best to start talking about like the series with its afterword, because the first volume of Irredeemable contains that afterword by Grant Morrison. Yeah,
I just read that today actually.
Yeah,
reread it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because in there it's Morrison talks about how he talks about this Wired article he read about how basically some of these people get pigeonholed, so as far as what not Wired, it's like a New Scientist article, but
it was New Scientist.
Yeah, how basically once you've been categorized as one thing, you're never going to shake that for the rest of your life. And Morrison talks about how as whatever he does, he's going to be regarded as the purveyor of new science, new age, mystical jibber jabber, which hey, it's that's not a bad thing. I mean, we love him for it. So
absolutely,
but with Waid though, Waid's been kind of pigeonholed over the years as kind of the purveyor of the virtues of the Silver Age. It's he's whenever you want to get that whole gee whiz, superheroes are awesome, or it's just think about the gold, how great, how family friendly and entertaining this stuff can be. Waid's the go-to guy for that. I mean, he got a definitive run on the Flash, well-regarded runs on Captain America, and his signature work on Kingdom Come with Alex Ross, to back this up. I mean, the guy's done lots of great stuff over the years, but he is kind of regarded as this guy as this purveyor of the best virtues of one of comics' most definitive ages.
Yeah, it's interesting that Kingdom Come didn't shake him of that, because it was such a big deal, and it was kind of deconstructionist. In fact, it looked at what like the '90s style heroes and how they differed from the classic ones that we remember. Yeah,
it's and generally very very dark work as well. But at the same time, though, it's still it ultimately did kind of reaffirm.
Yes, it did.
Yeah, it's the traditional version of superheroes. Now, on one hand, it's considering the sales state that the industry is in right now, it could be argued that hey, maybe we need some of that at this point. But at the same time, this is how Waid has been perceived over the years. And then, bam! A couple of years back, when he started working for Boom Comics, he put out the first issue of Irredeemable, which the short version is this Irredeemable is what happens when Superman finally loses it. When he realizes okay, this is I've had enough of this. I've had enough of this. I've screwed up once, and now it's I'm just all of you guys, the whole world and everyone else, you can all just go to hell. I'm just gonna do whatever the hell I want from now on.
Right, basically, because this version of Superman-like character doesn't have the emotional stability and maturity to be able to handle some criticism.
Exactly. Yeah, it's it's the way this character, the Plutonian. It's he's basically this world's like Superman avatar, and he's like basically kind of regarded as kind of the best of them. Like, 'cause, like this world of other superheroes, you've got like the man, like man of intelligence, Cubit, who can just build just about anything by thinking about it. Scylla and Charybdis, who are like superpowered twins. Kaiden, who can summon ghosts, who can summon ghosts by talking about their tales. Gilgamesh, a ages-old warrior.
It's Gilgamos.
Gilgamos. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gilgamos.
It's okay.
Yeah, and
I was calling him Gilgamesh this morning too.
yes, that's the first thing you go to for that guy.
Yeah. I'm sure it was an homage.
Yes, and yeah, it's like, and so like the Plutonian's like regarded as like the best of these characters, and we're introduced to him by he's killing off basically kind of like their Batman analog, the Hornet. This regular guy who's basically decided to invest his personal fortune into becoming the world's first and best superhero, and like he doesn't just kill the guy, he kills his wife and one of his daughters, and just like basically and torments his surviving daughter as he just like proceeds to go on this rampage, letting everyone know that, you know, hey, there's a new world order. It's like, and hey, it involves you guys just kissing up to me, and from the start, I mean, it's like it's a great introduction to the series. I mean, it's like it establishes that there's this kind of like fun, sick thrill you get from just saying like, hey, you know, this is what happens when Superman snaps. Because I mean, you've got this whole meta angle to it. Because really, it's like, man, the Plutonian is meant to represent Superman. There's no getting around that.
Yeah, especially after, you know, the end.
Don't get me started on the end. But I'm getting ahead of myself there.
Okay, I'll wait until later.
Okay, but I mean, it's like, but the thing is with Irredeemable is that Waid has clearly thought through some of this stuff pretty well. You know, just, you know, what does he do when things that gets, you know, he gets, you know, what like he attacks some of the weird sexual undertones with some of the with some of the female supporting cast, you know, that like Plutonian obviously has this hard on for, as well as like, you know, just like the Lois Lane analog, who basically says like once he reveals his secret identity to her, first thing she does is just like, you know, hey, you know, this guy Dan Hardigan, he's really the Plutonian, and he just flips out saying like, no, why did you do that? Now I'm not going to be able to protect any of you from my rogues gallery, including the Lex Luthor analog Modeus, who is, yes,
you know, I'd say he's more of a Brainiac analog.
Really?
I would. Well, from Incorruptible, you have that other guy. What was that guy? The Saint Lucifer. I'd say he was the Lex Luthor analog, and that's just a personal opinion.
Okay, yeah, okay, I get what you mean right there, but I guess like, you know, like when we're dealing with Superman, since we're dealing with like the Superman analog right here, I mean, you don't whip out like, you know, with all due respect, Rob, you can't really whip out the Brainiac analog for this.
Okay, I see what you're saying. I rethought it, and the deal is that Modeus is obsessed with Plutonian in a parallel manner to how Lex Luthor is obsessed with Superman.
Yes, and to Wade's credit, he does get into like the weird psychosexual aspect of their relationship,
which was really interesting. I've never seen that ever before. With can you think of another example where the villain is actually in love with the hero?
You know, so that is a good point right there. You know what? I think I would have. This is a really obscure one. I have to go pull out like a non-superhero work from Chris Claremont called The Black Dragon.
Oh, yeah, I never read that.
Yeah, it's like, but as far as like mainstream superheroes goes, no, I can't. I mean, I can't really pull that out unless you want to, like, you know, get into like Frank Miller's psychosexual, like, assertion that, you know, like Batman versus Joker is just really a love story, which no, but it's like, but I mean, it's like but he also manages to like set it up really well in the sense that, yeah, like Modeus is like this like complete psychopath that, you know, he doesn't really like understand how to express like his emotions in any other way. So it actually makes a certain amount of sense that he would be expressed like, you know, this weird love of the Plutonian by trying to destroy him and making sure that like no one else can have him but him.
Right.
Yeah. But you see, the catch is, and I guess the ultimate problem with Irredeemable is that while Waid has thought through certain aspects aspects of what happens when Superman goes nuts is that he hasn't really focused all this into a coherent overall story.
Right. It does kind of feel like he had some points that he wanted to make that were good, but that he didn't have an overall plan for it.
Yeah, the series is 37 issues in one special, and it just kind of and there's good stuff in here. Make no mistake, but at the same time, Waid also feels he's kind of writing this, for the same the same way you would for a normal superhero story, and just we're trying to keep it going month after month, with the cliffhanger endings and the shocking revelations.
Yeah, I agree. I felt that way with the last 2 volumes. For some reason, I didn't have the same feeling when I was reading it when I did in the previous volumes. Mm-hmm. Because I felt like, in some ways, it started to feel like he had missed a couple of things and was trying to wrap it up. Like, for example, there was one thing that I don't think was ever solved, and I'm going to ask you this, and maybe you know.
Okay.
You remember when Survivor, who is the remaining member of the 2 superpowered twins, after one of them is incapacitated, gets this villain who's a telepath to read people's minds.
Oh, yes.
When they're joining. And then Cubit asks that mind reader guy, whose name I can't remember, starts with an M, I think. Burroughs starts with a B, never mind. Burroughs and nothing like an M. Anyway, he gets Burroughs to read Survivor's mind and discovers some horrible plan and imparts it to Cubit. And Cubit is like, oh no, this is a terrible thing. We never find out what that plan is, do we?
No, we don't.
Yeah, so I don't know what was going on there. And there was one other point that made me feel like, he had something planned out originally that he changed, which was that I think it was in the beginning of the 4th volume, there was a line that named 3 people that were going to basically save the world from,
Oh, yes.
Right?
You're talking about, in the special.
Was that the special? I'm sorry.
Yeah, it had 3 different artists.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, because I get the point. I know what you mean. I get what you're saying right there, but I get the feeling is that that those 3 people were actually meant to be the people who were featured in the special: Hornet, Kaidan, and Max Damage. Right.
Okay. Was he actually in the special though? I thought Max never showed up in the special.
Oh no, Max was in the special. I mean, when he was the guy who was bum rushing the supervillain brothel.
Okay. Right. Yeah, I remember that, but the implication was there that he was going to save the world, that those 3 were going to save the world. And yet Max's only contribution to Irredeemable were in his book,
yes.
Getting Plutonian away from Colville and then showing up with Cubit to talk to him and then ultimately doing nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of things like this that make you feel like that Waid thought certain things through, there was no overall plan to it, that he was just that he was just kind of prolonging things to the point where when eventually he got the word from editorial okay, yeah, sales have reached a certain point that we need you to kind of wrap things up right now.
Yeah, I got that feeling too.
Yeah, I mean there's certainly lots of good stuff. In the series, I mean, like I said, Volume 5, the one that basically got me over the hump, that to start buying this series on a regular basis was when we find out when we get this because Cubit, I mean, his whole thing is that he's a smart guy. He's the one who finds a way around things so that the heroes don't have to kill the bad guy. They can keep their hands clean. But at the same time, though, Plutonian is evolved into such a menace at this point that but when Cubit finds a way to actually not kill him, they're saying the Survivor basically says why the hell did you do that? Why did you basically damn people to living under his rule? And Cubit goes, well, because we had to, because we owe him this. He has saved the world time and time again. We owe him this we have this responsibility to try and bring him back from the brink. And I can understand, and I can really get behind that line of thinking right there. But best part is Volume 5 also has this great moment when Modeus, who has been revealed to have been hiding in the mind of the Plutonian's sidekick.
Yeah.
Yeah, we find out that, well, the Plutonian is aware of this too. And it's just, oh man, it's like I read the scene where the Plutonian basically like reveals this to him. I just believe, have this vision in my mind where that Waid was just laughing out loud as he was writing this, because it's just
yeah. And the look that he gives him, I mean, the artist did a great job with the look that he gives Modius in that scene to show him that he knew. I don't know, it was chilling. Yes. It was a great look.
Yes, I mean, it's like, actually, I've mentioned this on the blog before, but the artist for the majority of the series, Peter Krause,
yeah.
There is a certain awkwardness to his style at the beginning. He doesn't have really like he's not good with like the big widescreen majesty that this series like kind of really like deserves. Mm-hmm. But like when he's on his game, he is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when like in Volume 5 there's some great moments in there that finally convinced me that yes, the guy really knows what he's doing. And now he's doing another series with Mark Waid online called Insufferable. It's like I'd like to see more of him, because like he got a lot better during his time on Irredeemable, and so I'm looking forward to seeing more of his evolution from here. The art itself, like for the series, is kind of like definitely not bad, but more often than not, it's just competent rather than spectacular.
Yeah, I felt that there were just specific moments that was really great on it, and the rest of it was kind of good enough. Yeah, competent.
Exactly, but it's like overall, it's like Irredeemable. It's got a lot of great moments. Do they all? It's. I guess I hate to brush out this old truism, but it's kind of like a series like with like the parts are kind of less than the sum of the whole.
Yeah, I would say that. I think Waid had some really good ideas that he came up with, and he planned some specific things out, but the overall thing wasn't planned out. Like, I mean, it's obvious that the later revelations about the twins. I don't know how into spoilers do you bother going for the podcast?
I guess I prefer not to talk about we can mention that twins are actually revealed to be triplets at some point, but
okay,
it's like beyond that.
Yeah. So that reveal, because of the fact that they describe why you should have figured that out from the first place, it happened late enough that it looks like he did plan it out, because of the symbol on their costume. And so, I think that he planned a lot of things, but it got to a point where it seemed like he forgot the fact that he planned certain things, and that at some point he was just gonna, let's just wrap it up. There are some things in Incorruptible that are like that too. There were a couple of developments in Incorruptible towards the end that I was like, what was the point of that? I mean, that was, one thing happened way too quickly, and another thing happened for seemingly no reason. I don't know if you want to save that for later.
Well, actually, I think this is a good point to actually transition into Irredeemable's sister title, Incorruptible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, Irredeemable focuses on like a superhero gone bad. Incorruptible focuses on the flip side, basically a supervillain gone good. And this is like the guy we were talking about earlier, Max Damage.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Max is that he doesn't really have an idea of what it means to be a good person, to be an altruistic person, and so he just does the opposite of what he did as a villain.
Exactly. I mean, on some level, like, and sometimes like that can be as simple as just by just like beating up the bad guys, and like that can work for him up to a certain point. But as things go on, you find out that hey, he's that like if you're gonna be a superhero long term, you actually have to focus on what can we do to like actually inspire people,
right?
Like focus on what can we do to make focus on making the world a better place. And Max doesn't really get that a whole lot. I mean, on some level, like Incorruptible does suffer from some of the same problems as Irredeemable, in the sense that like Waid has clearly thought through like some like specific things, but the overall arc is actually somewhat better, mainly because things with the ending for Irredeemable is one of those like bang your head against the wall. Waid, why did you do this? I mean, like, yes, I can see where you're going with it, but at the same time, you should have known a lot better than to even try something like this.
Right. Boy, how much can we talk about that? Because I'd love to go into detail.
Oh God, it's like
no detail.
Let's just say that Waid brings the whole Plutonian as Superman analog thought thread full circle, but he does it in like the most obvious saccharine like way that it's kind of like.
Yeah, I would call it. I would use a few different adjectives to describe it. And on the one hand, I liked it in that it was kind of like, an homage in some way to say, I love this character, but in the other way, it was arrogant.
Yeah.
There was an arrogance and it was a little too meta for me. It kind of broke the fourth wall a little, and this is something that this is one problem that I had with Mark Waid once before. I mentioned earlier that before the podcast that I've read, I've only read a few different things that Mark Waid has done. Kingdom Come, which is obviously fantastic. The 52, which I really enjoyed, but I don't really know which is his and which is other people's stuff. But the third thing is the rebooted Top Cow City of Heroes comic, and in that he did a meta thing that really bugged me. And I don't know how much I don't know if you've played City of Heroes or not.
Yeah, it's like I got a basic familiarity with it, but
so there's this, it's a massively multiplayer game, and in MMOs, characters, don't really die. They get resurrected or whatever they do. When you die in a game like that, you have to come back with the same character. In City of Heroes, they have a metaporter system, so that if the hero, supposedly reaches near death, it teleports them to a hospital and they get all fixed up. Well, that's a real meta thing. That's something that you would never put into an actual comic universe. He actually used it in the comic as if it was a real thing. And he goes, this big bad villain disables the metaporter thing, and now people can die. And it's like, well, I mean, I guess I can see how you'd think that was interesting, but if you actually reference that in the comic and have it active, it makes all events kind of, as far as threatening towards the heroes, not threatening. So you can't really even talk about it not being there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so I felt I had a similar feeling with the way he ended Irredeemable, that it was meta. He was talking about something that he crossed into this thing that you shouldn't directly say that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the ending for Irredeemable, it's just one of those. Yeah, it's just Waid has been around long enough that he should have known better than to try something like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. But with Incorruptible though, Incorruptible probably has the even doesn't have quite the same amount of great, I gotta keep reading this moments that Irredeemable does. It is probably the if nothing else, the more consistent work in terms of overall quality, because because Max Damage's arc has a pretty well defined arc to it, and so that by the end it's you're kind of you understand, you get a feeling hey, he has kind of he has changed, and it's that he is gonna try and be that he has kind of finally understood what it means to be a hero, and it's not a great thing, but funny thing is as I was rereading these, I kept thinking that that both of these together probably would make an interesting TV series.
Yeah,
because but the thing is, the focus would have to be on Incorruptible, just because the villain trying to redeem himself is probably the more substantial arc. So you'd have to focus on Max Damage, obviously, with the Plutonian, just being kind of a supporting character. But overall, I mean, Incorruptible, does go pretty well. And if you're reading Irredeemable, you kind of got to pick this. You kind of owe it to yourself to pick this one up as well. And even though it's like, I will say that, even though like the ending for Incorruptible is, I think it's just fine for the most part, except for the bit with his underage teenage sidekick jailed.
Oh yeah. Well, I have two complaints about things that are not specifically the ending but relate to the ending.
Yes.
And I don't want to give away, I don't want to do any spoilers or anything, but I felt like he turned, his character arc as far as his redemption. He starts just saying, I'm just going to do, what's good, and I'm never going to lie, and I'm never going to do these things. And in some ways, those things limit him as being a good person. Mm-hmm. Actually telling the truth all the time can be worse, than, picking and choosing. But anyway, so that's part of his arc. But there's a point where he just suddenly turns and just says, well, I'm just going to do what's right, when it's right. And I don't remember the exact wording, but it was something that it felt like they tried to show you that he really needed like help, this like a moral guide, because actually, Plutonian's ex-girlfriend is around in the comic, and he wants to use her. Yeah,
she's actually a major supporting character in this, in Incorruptible.
Yeah, and I felt like there was a point where it occurred to me that maybe at this point, Mark Waid decided, I need to wrap this comic up, because he just suddenly seemed to make the leap that was necessary in order to really be a good person. I felt that was a little weird. And then what happens with Plutonian's ex-girlfriend, Alana Patel? There is a character development aspect to her that doesn't seem to serve any point at the end of the comic.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about, and I guess it's safe to say that eventually she decides to go and get superpowers herself. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah,
and I don't know why. It doesn't seem to serve any purpose. How can she just decide, oh, I'm going to go do that? It's not really something that usually happens in comics, where there's a supporting character and they go, well, I'm going to go do, it's like, not exactly like, like Mary Jane suddenly goes, well, I'm going to go get bit by a spider.
Okay. It's like, I definitely see what you're seeing right there. But at the same time, I can almost buy her trying to do this, just because like she's been surrounded by all these superheroes. Like the world has gone completely to hell in a way that it just doesn't happen in Marvel or DC. So I can at least suspend disbelief that she just went, okay, if I'm just gonna have any hope of like reaching or like interacting with any of these like crazy people on a regular basis, then I'm actually going to go and need to get superpowers myself.
Right. Okay. And I see that. It was just more of a generally like, this doesn't happen in comics, and maybe that's why Waid did it, is because this generally doesn't happen in comics.
Yeah, I think like I'm sure like Waid had a lot of fun writing both of these series, just because hey, I can do a lot of stuff that you just can't do with Marvel and DC. Right.
That's true. The thing about this though is that it happens close enough to the end that it seems to have no impact on the actual comic, and that was weird.
That is true right there.
So, if you're going to do something big like that, I would have expected it to have this big impact, and it had no impact. And there's one other disappointment that I had. And overall, I love both of these comics, and I'm sorry that I'm focusing more on the disappointments. The other disappointment is that, and I mentioned it earlier, is the Max versus Plutonian thing seemed to be not a big deal. It seemed to be very minor overall. It had a little more impact than Incorruptible, but overall just didn't seem to be. It felt like they were working up to that, and then it was kind of a throwaway thing.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So, that one bit where like they're like Max and Plutonian are duking it out in Incorruptible. I mean, you knew that they were gonna have to we was gonna have them cross over at some point. But yeah. I mean, and I can understand, I can see, and I like the fact that Waid basically gives a Max the win for that right there. But it's just one of those things where it's kind of like, yeah, it's like that like the win was basically given in a really arbitrary way, because we don't find out, just what Max says to the Plutonian.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I figured like would have like this is something that should have been like revealed later on, but no, it's like he just says, "Oh, and I can tell you why you're going to want to leave right here." Whisper, 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 whisper.
Yeah, and I think that's another example of why I think he probably didn't expect to wrap it up as soon as he did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like and there's also the actual anti-crossover between the two series.
Oh, you mean the origin related thing? I liked that. That was kind of cool. I thought.
I mean, it was interesting that we get like the actual origin for both of them. But at the same time, though, I mean, I understand the whole thing was kind of like billed as kind of like the actual crossover between the two.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not that kind of a crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like it's still kind of like a minor thing. Like overall, it's like I certainly don't regret buying these, but at the same time, it's like they still feel kind of it's like they're not bad, but if you got the money, go ahead and pick them up. But at the same time, though, it's going to cost you a pretty penny to pick them up as well.
Yeah, I feel, I'm going to say that I felt that the first, I want to say 7 or 8 issues, I think 8 issues of Irredeemable were good, and I was happy with them. 9 and 10 felt a little rushed, and so you'd want it to finish, so I think it's worth getting all of Irredeemable.
Wait, you're talking when you say you actually meant volumes, right?
Volumes. I'm sorry, volumes. I think it's worth getting all of Irredeemable. I thought it was, while I had disappointments with it, I thought that overall, the first 8 volumes made, the disappointment of the last 2 worth it.
Yeah, it's one of those things where once you get invested in either of these series, you are going to want to finish them off.
Right, and I think that it has good enough moments that as long as you aren't expecting an epic, ending, you can get some enjoyment out of those moments. Incorruptible, like you said earlier, felt more, even, and I enjoyed all of it. I don't, I kind of wish it had gone on a little longer.
Yeah, but it's like but I mean, like considering. Let's just say it's like considering that I tracked the sales numbers for these series, and let's say it was impressive that for a non-Marvel DC superhero series, it was impressive. It was actually impressive that these actually lasted as long as they did.
Oh,
yeah, because let's say the market has not been kind to non-Marvel and DC superhero stuff. So, but now Waid is back these days. He's working for Marvel, doing great stuff on Daredevil, and he's got the Indestructible Hulk coming out soon with Lineal U. But so it's like, okay, it's nice that he's got the stuff that that shows you what he can do when he's not working for Marvel and DC. And it's it's good enough that I'd like to see him do more stuff at some point in the future.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So well. I guess on that note, it's probably going to go and wrap things up. John, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I'm interested in actually reading some of this now.
Okay.
Irredeemable. I think you'd enjoy it.
I think Irredeemable, though, catches my interest a little bit more than Incorruptible.
Because Superman going nuts is always a good tagline.
I'm all about that kind of a thing. That's one of the things that I enjoy. I enjoy reading or watching or whatever. And I guess I'll just have to watch Incorruptible when it comes out as a movie. Just kidding.
That'd be good.
Because or a mini series or television series, whatever you were thinking, Jason. There, because I think that you're absolutely correct. In assessing how stories are sold on television. That's probably an easier sell.
Yeah. It's I will say though that the series is actually both volume series are actually pretty expensive as far as things go, because with the exception of the first volume of Irredeemable, which will set you back about $10 for 4 issues.
Mm-hmm.
Every volume every volume after that is going to set you back about $17.
Well, funny thing is I got Amazon dialed in right now on it, and they're saying that the second volume, I don't see anything over. Okay, Incorruptible Volume 2 is 16, but Irredeemable Volumes 2 through 4 are 11.55 right now.
That's worth it.
Yeah, and that's why I keep going through Amazon for this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Because even though like this series, because like even though it's like so the I've talked about before on the blog that like Marvel's pricing for some of their stuff is just gone. It's just like it's starting to defy logic now. This stuff, it's like once you get, like I said, the reason I had a hump to get over was because of the price. But once you get past it, like I said, you won't have much of a problem like shelling out for it.
Well, there you go. And I don't work for Amazon. I'm just, it's just one of the places where I like to, shop.
Indeed. Even though they're now charging us for state sales tax.
That's right. Even though they are, no problem there. All right. Well, we'll catch you next week or in a couple of weeks. Do you any preview of what you're going to talk about? Sometimes you just say nah, but I was curious.
Yeah, this is one of those times. I'm sure something will pop up in within the next 2 weeks, but not right now.
Okay. All right, and we'll catch you later.
All right. Okay, thanks for having me on.
No problem.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you, Rob.
All right. Yep. See you later. Bye.